Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of LunarCRUSH Live. We are super excited today. We've got the team from Zap Protocol. We've got Nick Spanos, and we've got Eric Manganaro. If I got that right, Eric, if you're backstage, you're probably laughing at it right now. So John's going to go through some social, but before we start, as always, disclaimer, we bring projects on here and people that we're, interested in and that we think are doing great in the space. So we're not paid for any of this stuff. We're just bringing these people on. And we have over the last couple of months. So make sure that you get in that chat. You're asking some questions for the team. We'll try to get to everything we can at the end there. So please ask some good questions. And then make sure you subscribe. LunarCRUSH Live. We're trying to get close to 1,000 here on Twitter. We are, we're out to a couple of thousand people with this. But YouTube, let's get this thing going. John, take it away.
Thanks, Joe. I am super excited to talk about Zap social and market insights today. So because we're seeing quite a lot of growth over the last year. So this is one that I would say, considering that over the last year, the price has appreciated specifically 1,726.35%. It's something to investigate a lot further. And what we're seeing is if, this is a 1-year chart, and when you look at the first 6 months, you might have wanted to pay attention to this little spike over here back when social volume's going up. What is going on? This is why it's important to pay attention to this stuff. So we saw that it's pretty flat and pretty small, just kind of getting going. Then all of a sudden, right around July, it's just gone absolutely parabolic. It went crazy. And so, in that scenario, we had what price moved from 0.003 cents all the way up to 0.262. Wow. And then we've kind of consolidated, come back, and it's still looking pretty solid. But I mean, overall, when you look at the social growth, we're talking anywhere between 4,000 to 7,000% growth over the past year here. So when we look at social volume, and actually before I dig into each one of these metrics, before we look at social volume, we also look at the correlation. So when we look at the correlation, we have a rank, and it goes from zero to 5, and 5 being extremely correlated. And we see as the price moved up, we've seen that the correlations have increased. So as the community's grown, the price has become even more correlated. In some scenarios here, up to nearly 5 out of 5, 4.7 out of 5. So pretty exciting. So social and market growth are correlating together. So social volume, what this is looking at here with a 4,525% growth is social mentions. So this is every time that someone's talking about Zap Protocol. It could be the ticker, it could be hashtag, and any sort of variant of those. It's grown a lot, and we're saying it's grown all the way up to, on some days, where are we, almost 2,000 mentions in a day. The engagement within those social posts has also gone up. In fact, it's even starting to increase a lot again. We've seen that move up to as much as 2.15 million engagements per day. And what that's looking at is it's looking at the depth of the conversation. So it's one thing that if someone's posting something about Zap Protocol, and if, let's say, it gets no comments, no retweets, no nothing, there's just nothing going on, versus if it gets a lot of engagement. That's what we're measuring here. And what's exciting about that is that it shows really the depth of community participation within those social posts. So the community is becoming increasingly excited, which is really pretty cool to watch. We've seen the community itself. So it's one thing to say that there's a lot of posts, but who are those coming from? How many people are those coming from? Social contributors actually measures that. It measures the individuals that are posting. So, one contributor per day could post many times, as an example. And we're seeing those numbers go up a lot. And so, in fact, even more exciting is, yes, it's increased 900%, but those people are so excited that they're posting even more. So that's also pretty cool. And then, when we look at social dominance, what that is think of that as like market cap dominance, but for social. So out of all the social posts across the entire crypto market, and on some days we're now pushing 1 million posts that we're collecting before we take spam out. That's grown, a ton. So, I mean, there's been a back at the height here. When we look at this spike, Zap Protocol accounted for 0.66% of all social posts across the crypto market that day. So pretty exciting. And I just want to point out last one of these metrics, which is bullish sentiment. So we look at all of the posts that come in. Every single post gets classified by our machine learning, all the way from very bearish to very bullish. It's become increasingly more accurate as we've collected a lot more posts. It requires a lot of data. And we're seeing that the number of bullish posts has also gone up a lot as well. And just to point out one other thing on a yearly basis, when we look at like who are these coming from, which is also really exciting. There's a lot of projects that we see where it's the official account is always number one. And that's a good thing because that means they're doing a lot of marketing. But what's even more exciting is if the community is ahead of them, because it means that they're really like the community is really excited about what they're doing, and they're even getting ahead of them, ahead of the actual main account, which is really exciting. And we're seeing over the last year, and actually I think you guys were on David's live stream a little bit ago. We saw that. We're friends with David, we know him, but he's your top influencer with Auto Grow Crypto. Yes, I'll have some. Saw him do a tweet this morning. And Gravis, see him doing a ton. I'm the debate, and then there you are, number 6. So pretty cool that on a yearly basis you got 5 people above you guys, which is quite cool. And you know, this is on a yearly basis. If I change this to a different time frame, it's different people. We actually objectively measure these influencers by engagement, activity, and popularity in real time. So it's not just like we're not picking these people. This is actually reading those tweets that they bring in and other social posts. And so with that, let's bring our guests in. Let's talk Zap.
Boom. Let's do this.
Hello.
Eric, Nick, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Looking at some of that growth, it's pretty crazy to see what you guys have put together, and the community is really excited. And for us, around social, it's always been looking at the community over time, and the growth and the excitement over time is really, price aside, it's about the ecosystem and what you're building. And so, maybe Nick, we could start with you. Tell us what your role is at Zap Protocol and where in the world you are today and what's it like there.
I'm like Papa Bear. No. I like getting very smart people together, and we try to build the cutting edge stuff. Usually our problem is explaining it to people because maybe sometimes it's a little early. But this time, a little early in the crypto space is 2 years or something. That's pretty cool. I mean, any other industry in the past, early was like we built getaroom.com, and the motels was Airbnb back in '95. So we were really early, and then we built Livery Cab. In 2004, no one had a smartphone, right? We were using SMS. So that was early. And then as the years go by, there's a big burn rate and sometimes you disappear. So the crypto space is much faster than that. So you can be early. And so we adopted bonding curve. Well, it was called curation markets, and we coined the phrase bonding curves. I coined it, because it had to be a little sexier.
Yes.
And, or something. I was like, curation markets. I don't want to go to a museum. And so my role, I don't know what my role is. I don't know.
Evangelist.
I do whatever has to happen.
Yeah, he does it.
I design stuff. I'm an architect. I used to code years and years ago when my eyes were better and I didn't have the retinal vasculitis. So, I promote the guys and create the teams. And I think Eric's been doing a lot of that lately. So that's my role.
Great. Speaking of the guys, Eric,
Hello.
what's your role? What you up to? Where you at?
My role is to basically run meetings, and I talk all the time. No, but yeah, but maybe not as much as Nick, but like I think that I've been inspired to join Zap Protocol, and basically what we are doing is it's interesting that you said that the community is talking a lot about it, because I think that what recently what me and the other people on the team have been doing has been really trying to, just like what Nick is saying, communicate these ideas that have been here from the genesis of the project. And I think that I've been trying to connect the communities, but also driving the technical force, so we can actually, see what we have and push the state of the art. Because you can see from when Nick created the bonding curve, its adoption throughout multiple different projects has been, as is such, open source. So people have brought that thought process and brought that the utility that has, and we've been really, we talk about we're inside the internal laboratory, as it were. We're here working on Zapplications.
Oh,
Whoa.
wow.
Write that one down.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that yesterday. I was like, because we were like, we're developing like DApps or Zaps. And I was like, I was just putting it everywhere. And that Nick has been, around it. And I think that's where I first met him. I was doing a cryptocurrency convention in Philadelphia called Coinvention, where he came to speak. And people who didn't know who he was, I was like, well, you don't know who Nick Spanos is? He's pretty much like, he is the guy with the machete, cutting through the jungle, making sure that, a lot of, making the way, so he's actually
More like a samurai sword.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you're actually just chopping away, and I'm actually just there, to pick up not just like the pieces, as it were, but like to actually like build what has been left, because we have such an awesome community, and we have such an awesome amount of people. Because like Nick, you've told me that like just the value of Zap is not based on like VC funding. It's pure community driven, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just built it, kept our mouth shut pretty much, and kept building. Everyone else was hyping what theirs might do someday and all that, and and then they disappeared during the crypto winter.
Yeah,
But we went through a bunch of crypto winters, and we're still here. I mean, we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
we don't know anything else anymore.
Because at the end of the day, what we're talking about is software. So if you're not really developing software or really pushing that daily, then I don't know exactly what you're doing. I don't know. So that's actually how Coinvention, the conference that we met at. I ran the hackathon for it, and I was really trying to change the format of what it means for a cryptocurrency convention. Like I've gone to a lot. I bought a suit just to go to one. I was like, oh, okay, cool, maybe I can fit in. But really, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go find the guy with like the T-shirt. Like, oh, okay. So like out of like thousands of people, I found like 5 or so developers out of that population of attendees. And I was like, wow, well, we really need to change the format and really, add the hackathon to the convention. Lo and behold, now that you can see conventions that are running have, a section of hackathons that are a part of it now. So it's like, we understand, because, for every, coin that comes out, who's going to actually, make the platform.
I think you were excited at the oracleization of the competition. So we had a competition, and we oracleized the GitHub, and the people who I don't remember how it was, but the winner, the person whose code was committed through an oracle, got the prize. And
yes,
remember that?
Yes, sir. And that just goes to show you is that I was actually impressed when I first learned about LunarCRUSH. You guys are crushing it, as it were. But like, and I was just like, I think that when you're looking at it through the lens of like cryptocurrency, or pretty much anything through that social and a technical lens, that's what I first was thinking. I was like, it's like that technical side is only complemented by that. And I was like, I was not really into trading. I was more into like software development. And I understood that's where that's where really the value of anything comes from. And that's like, I don't come from a finance background. I don't come from like a specifically money background. But the more I learned about what the actual dollar was, how it interacts with like the larger governance of like our lives, that we find that it really is the community that gives it value.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And when we started collecting social and thinking about these, it's almost like these micro economies, right? And
Yeah,
utilities, and you're giving kind of power back to the people that to create, and that's kind of what this bonding curve, it looks like. It's giving people the power to launch things and a framework to do that. So I mean, tell us like what are some of these apps that you guys are thinking about, and like what is the community kind of asking for, and like as you guys kind of have your heads down and building, where's some of the vision and focus right now?
Yeah, I think that the reason why we built this is because everyone's talking about tokenizing the world, and I said, well, how the heck are you going to tokenize the world if someone has to pay $5 million to get listed on a big exchange? And so we give everyone a DEX. If they create that token on the Zap protocol, they get their own DEX. And then I was like, well, now how are they going to pay someone has like a basket weaving token or a small oracle or something that's going to get a couple calls a week or something? How are they going to pay? How are you going to tokenize the world when these silos that already exist, even in our industry, really quickly they sprouted up? And I said, well, we're going to use a fixed. We're going to use the curation markets as a fit. I didn't say that. Tom Saint Laurent, which said that, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that sounds incredible!" And then we implemented the bonding curve. I renamed it, and we implemented the bonding curve, because how are you going to have your own token, and you're going to have to pay a market maker $2,000 a month or something for a market maker, and give them all kinds of stuff. So the prefixed pricing index was the answer. So if you're a little guy and we're planning on tokenizing the world, everyone wants to tokenize everything. So how are you going to do that? So we figured, well, it has to be decentralized, and that's why we built it in that fashion. So it can be decentralized, and there wouldn't be anything holding it back. And also, in the oracles, of course, have to be decentralized. There are some other outfits out there that are not decentralized. They claim that they're decentralized, and then other people say, "Oh, you can't do it because how is it going to work where anyone can post anything?" Say, well, Bitcoin protocols and oracle. All the nodes sit there and follow the longest chain, vote on amongst them, or whatever, whoever wants to follow the longest chain. So that's working. So multi-party oracles on the Zap protocol is I believe is the future, and we have the work to prove it. We've done our GitHub's overflowing. I'm sorry, up Mr. Manganaro.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think that like when I first started learning about like that was like a harsh lesson. I think that when I first started learning how to buy and sell on exchanges, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go buy. Like, oh wow, what is Ethereum? I'm gonna try to buy it, and immediately as I try to buy it, there's like this wall that formed on the other side, and basically I got it at the price that I want, but for like $1 worth of and then everything else was like shot right up to the other price where it was like slammed. And I think that is, I think, one of the biggest like accomplishments of this protocol, and that when you have both sides of the book being stacked up by these algorithmic players, it's it's not for like the little guy really something that is attractive, because one, you don't know it's happening, and you have to have some sort of like advanced education in finance to just even have that concept moving in. So it really has changed the way I thought about that paradigm.
Yeah, and I do want to go back to Bitcoin just really quick, because Nick, you
Sure.
kind of touched on something that, coming into this space for myself as well, you see Bitcoin and then you kind of find everything else out there, but you come to the conclusion really quickly that, and there's this, subset of Bitcoin maximalists that are out there, and it's like Bitcoin and only Bitcoin, right? And everything else is a scam. But if everything else is centralized and every operation is centralized, like that doesn't help us. That doesn't help Bitcoin. But having a decentralized operations out there and different programming and software that you can make, it's like the instant next thing. And it's like, in my opinion, I feel like Satoshi would be working on some sort of altcoin project right now if he was still in the space. But what do you think the block is sometimes with folks that are just like, every other project is pointless and everyone should only be buying Bitcoin, but still use centralized servers somewhere?
Yeah, that was me early on. It's just that the advancement of Bitcoin itself. I mean, I consider all decentralized, open, permissionless blockchains Bitcoin in my brain, meaning that's the way I'm thinking of it. And so in the past, I was more only Bitcoin, and but the development didn't happen that quickly, and everyone's arguing, and things don't happen. So how are we going to develop all these other projects? Can do whatever they want, and someone has an idea, and then they take ownership and they start promoting it. I mean, I think to promote Bitcoin was pretty selfless if someone only promoted Bitcoin. And in the past, we promoted Bitcoin. We weren't, so in the past. So now, if we didn't have these altcoins, we wouldn't have all the knowledge of what cryptocurrency and crypto economics can do. And what it's doing is it's enrolling people ownership of their project and their brainchild, and they sit there and promote their project. They're not only people. Bitcoin wouldn't be where it is today without everyone promoting their project to their buddies. And I have a project. I have my own crypto. Crypto, what's that? It's like Bitcoin. So then the other people might find out about Bitcoin. So I don't know what to say. Bitcoin is probably an incredible store of value for beginners. So Bitcoin is great for beginners. You wouldn't want a beginner to jump in to all these altcoins and try to figure out something, and who knows what they'll find. Yeah. But Bitcoin's pretty stable. I love Bitcoin.
I got a question
I opened a Bitcoin Center in 2013, the first live cryptocurrency exchange 100 feet from the New York stock market, for God's sake.
Nick, my question is exactly that. My question is exactly that. You put the Bitcoin Center right on Wall Street. What are your thoughts now about Wall Street now getting into Bitcoin?
Oh, screw them. I put it there because I came from a political background. I ran much of Ron Paul's efforts at the senior staff level, and I'm a libertarian, and I love competing currencies, and that's why I'm a libertarian. And I hate the Federal Reserve. Also worked on the end of the Fed, and we even got a bill passed in the House. We couldn't get it passed in the Senate because Bernie screwed us. But every time, you had a Liberty candidate show up, someone saying, talking against the Federal Reserve of competing currencies, the media would smash them and destroy them before Election Day. So, when I found Bitcoin, I was like, this is the first candidate that can't get destroyed on Election Day. This is the only tool we have. I finally have a weapon against these jerks who've been oppressing us and driving our dissolving our place where we store our work hours, like these lithograms, these lithograms, Federal Reserve notes, lithograms of dead notables are rotting, right? Because they keep printing more. So you can't store your worth in there because someone's stealing it every day. So as they print more, they're stealing your worth that you have in your pocket. So the same people that were saying that were fighting for the powers of the Federal Reserve were the same ones fighting liberty candidates. And then when Bitcoin came out at first, then I see one or two of them, there were very, very few stories, talk bad about Bitcoin. The same people were talking bad about Bitcoin. So I freaked out. I said, what the hell is this? These jerks are going to run my world, my reality. I go, I'm going to go down to Wall Street. I'm going to open up my own exchange. I mean, I didn't know anything, and no licenses, no nothing. I'm going to open my own exchange, and I'm going to let the world come and see what the fuck Bitcoin really is. Because if they're learning from these clowns on TV, these talking heads that don't even know what it is, then it's not going to go anywhere. And I can't wait around like I waited around with other projects where I was so early that it didn't, they petered out. I'm going to go there and show the world what the hell it is right now. So I went down to Wall Street. I found the biggest space I could, the closest to the New York Stock Exchange retail space that you walk into. And I opened my own exchange. And we had pretty girls pulling the stockbrokers, bringing them into the Bitcoin Center. Everyone was trading in there live, back and forth. We had every agency trying to shut us down. They didn't know what the hell was going on. I said, listen, this isn't an exchange. I just let people trade, people trade here on their own. We don't get a percentage. If you get a percentage, then it's, then you need a bunch of licenses. I said, I'm paying for everything. I'm paying for the booze, and I'm letting people do what the heck they want. They want to trade here, they can trade here. But I'm not getting a penny out of it. As a matter of fact, I'm losing my shirt over here. So sign me up. You want to arrest me? Here I am.
Well,
So,
Nick,
that's what I meant by that
Awesome.
machete.
Awesome.
Nick, you said something, and I think I've watched too many YouTube videos, and I can't remember where you said it, but I think it was like the assimilation of almost like the Wright brothers. Was that? Did you say that? Where it's like, you had to go. Like, there's no way that they went to all of their friends and said, "Hey, I'm going to go fly through the sky like a bird." Right? The first time you tell someone that, they're probably thinking you're crazy. But you got to, crack a couple of eggs to make an omelet, for lack of a better analogy. And it's,
For sure.
you got to get out there and disrupt and innovate and let the world kind of see what's happening. And it's like crypto seems to be doing that. It's just kind of breaking a couple things here or there very slowly. But, I think with over the last year, like you said, being early, I mean, we moved 5 years into the future over the last year with the way everything's decentralized from work, from crypto, and it's just catapulted everything to move so quickly. And so it's amazing to see. And it's like, to think that you were back there in 2013, starting that in the heart of Wall Street probably seems like a century ago now.
Yeah, especially in crypto. Crypto, when you month to month seems like a year. Just how fast things move, and it's 24/7, and it's international. It's not just one market. Markets are completely detached from like the normal, just like how things are done. And that was one of the things that I was like, oh wow, there's so many people around the world that now I can see, because now people are like, oh, why is the price of Bitcoin rising? And then we're like all of a sudden super interested in what's happening in China. Like, what's going on inside there? Like, I'm never in my life like really interested in what was happening in South America, what's happening in the UK. And so when the news of these things happening, these markets move, and we try to speculate. So it really brings us to the international level.
Yeah. And so I want to get back to you guys with Zap real quick. So Eric, maybe you can walk me through. So LunarCRUSH has an API. We have a data feed. We have a WebSocket. We have data that we're kind of putting out to the world. So people
can we look at your data again? Because those graphs look cool. Because we had that earlier on, but let's just go back to it.
You want to see it?
And then we can flip back. Yeah.
Oh shoot! I closed it. Hold up.
Darn.
My question, Eric, was going to be,
yeah,
maybe give the audience a little bit of an example of, how would a data provider like ourselves, oracleize and, get this data out there, create a bonding curve? Like what's the intent, and how would we do something like that?
The intent, I feel like, is I want to try to make it as, easy as possible for someone to take like an API feed. Can we go to your feeds that you sell?
Yeah, we have in our footer here, we have our developer section, and we have our API.
Check it out. Cool.
Yep.
So I mean, when we talk about like this LunarCRUSH API, I want to make it as I think that the initial team had a really great idea when it came to creating a widget to place in every site. And that really what our Zap protocol should be is merely someone like an entity that is allowing you to place something on your website in order to have that. Because now, just like what I can see, you have like a MetaMask integration. These are all really big things that were not here not too long ago. So when we talk about decentralized applications, you're talking about data feeds. Yeah, see, like right here. So we have like a request here. This by itself is something that you wanted to you want to price out, and that you make it really easy for developers who are just starting out to be able to be using. But these API calls really represent something of value. So once now you want to bring that value to other people, you can design it in such a way that, and something that I'll show in a bit, to actually, that's why the I guess like the bonding curve is such a breakthrough idea, is because you want to control your ability to sell it. So you see all these social contributors, you're seeing the average sentiment, and really I want to make it as easy as possible to add a widget to your site so you can effectively meter this type of information, because information is worth more than gold. It's like,
Okay. Yeah.
We don't think about it like that because we are surrounded by information. But what we find out is that signal to noise ratio is like, very offset. So the information that is important is extremely valuable, and actually gets more valuable over time, because these are ways for us to really, if we're looking at the request, it may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but we're out here to create applications like, for you to bring in your information so we can, create applications that can't be taken down, for whatever reason,
Yeah. So just to kind of add on to that. So for example, any hard part about any startup is figuring out your pricing, right? And you're out there trying to identify, do I charge $5 for this widget? Do I charge $10 for this widget? Do I charge $100? And so is this basically creating market pricing for data and kind of solving that issue as well?
100%. That is literally the issue that it solves. If I feel like it champions that idea, you could say, and I'll show this in like a visual representation soon. Actually,
if you want to share, go for it. We can.
Yeah, let's just go to the.
I want to bring up too. I mean, there's other services that we've looked at out there and that have the best of intentions and actually an amazing user experience. That we've tried some alternatives to sell our data, and as opposed to just having like we have a WebSocket API, real-time data. It works really well. Yeah. So there was I'm not going to talk about which one it was, but there was a project that we were testing out, and amazing, except for one small fact. Cost us about $170, I believe, in gas fees to list our data in their marketplace. And so before we even listed, it was already $170. And then I realized that, oops, I have a typo or I want to update something in it. That's also a decentralized feature. It cost us another $30 to update the information in it. And so it's like, wait a minute, we don't even know if we're selling anything yet. And I'm already like $200 in. And that was all due to gas fees. And so that's a huge concern. Made me realize we have some issues on our hands with Ethereum.
Well, yeah, that is
like
the
for
issue
real.
with Ethereum.
It's one thing to trade on Uniswap, and you get you have a trading fee, and it's $3 or $5 or what, it varies. But it's another thing to actually use it in the context of an application, and you realize just how insane the gas fees are right now, versus just say building a traditional web application that has no fees. You're just building and iterating and iterating and iterating. But in the context of Ethereum, it gets very expensive really quickly if you do this in a decentralized manner.
Well, okay. Well, let's just talk about that real quick, because I think that comes down to the idea of what decentralization is, and I think that I've been studying projects for how to, I guess, fisher a layer 2 version of solution to these things. I think that's like the forefront of all of our imaginations when we were talking about how to push the protocol. whether it be Ethereum or a different chain. And you can see that what's really cool about Zap right now is that we have a focus on Ethereum, but actually our contracts are deployed to EOS. We're looking to use it for the Binance Smart Chain, Tron, and be able to leverage the and tunnel between all of them is because when we actually have this bonding curve, we are selling against the supply, which we actually have our own sub token called DOTS. And we, there's another portion where Nick came in and was pretty early on the game. So we actually we coined the term DOT, and we were like, okay, we would like to have a DOT to be able to say, because we're not a security. We actually have utility. We actually have something that's going on underneath of the hood, and really that can be cross chain. So that serves as its own tunnel towards other things. So that's what's really really useful, is that we can be flexible. I like using Ethereum right now only because I know that a lot of the scaling solutions through zero knowledge rollups, optimistic rollups, these different new advancements are coming very quickly to address that very issue. And I think that other platforms that may or may not meter or sell data are great. I just think that what we do is completely not completely different, but I don't think we're going beyond just selling price feeds. I think that we want to really be able to offer tool sets and continue to be a software development company that is produced by an open source crowd-funded entity. What information do you want to do? We have to arm people with the tools in order to promote their own liberty, sovereignty. Ever since that I've joined Zap, that I've seen and been speculating on all the things that we can do with it. And I think that we can, it is just like when we're coming back to the community, we can actually bring all that attention and then actually deliver on these types of things. And I think that's what people are responding to. Let's just look at this real quick. This is this is just our front page when we're talking about the new website. And really, we're going to just go through the motions here to try to go to the new dashboard. So we can, make it very easy to add Zap to your MetaMask wallet. Just like this is more of a cooking show style. This is already logged in, but you can see that we're really trying to push the idea of a marketplace for these features. Let's just keep going. So when you can see, you actually have multiple choices of what you can do here, is that you can create your own token underneath of our platform. And it is this decentralized exchange right out the box. So that's really important for multiple, you can see multiple, whether it be time locked tokens or price quotes or piece of information like GitHub, Yahoo, Uniswap itself, or really all these different aspects. Let's see. We can see that we want to be able to offer immediately how to do that. And really, I think what my job is to really try to make that easier. I think that we have a lot of really great features, and I just want to make them easier to read. Oh, it looks like the chat is pretty. I had a friend named Eric once. Okay, Professor X, thanks.
So Eric, I can, as a data provider, I can go in here and, with a couple of basically with a couple of clicks and some input, be able to provide our API into a marketplace per se. And then
so here's a demo of that. Can you keep talking?
No. They just, kind of talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so like, so I wanted to make that process easier because it can be a very complicated process, and we want to do
Yep.
a lot of hand holding. No.
Yeah, I want to see how we price this thing. Like what's
Yeah,
that's the magic, right?
So the magic is the first thing that we have to do is kind of like define our if you want to sell something, I know that we want to think about like, the sky's the limit, but really what is your price goal? What is the maximum supply? When we say we're creating dots, the sub token, we're really talking about the supply of our utility, everyone's personal utility. We're saying I know that this service that I provide has utility, and then this maximum supply is. I want to add some more information on that, but like that token supply, I guess, really directly correlates with that idea that we're starting to form in the back of our minds when we talk about crypto economics. This is your white paper, your supply, and we can continue on.
So let me ask a question on that. If that means, like, let's say I think you have 10,000 tokens as an example. Let's say we said we are only going to allow for 100 people to ever subscribe to our WebSocket API max. That's it. And if you want to get access, you're more than welcome to be on a waiting list, but that token holder of someone that subscribes to it is now potentially more valuable because all 100 are gone.
Yeah, and then I would make a maximum supply of 100 then.
And then they can sell it in your market to someone directly?
Right off
your well, you can actually delegate it directly to another address.
A widget right on your website. You
don't
have to come to our marketplace. You're going to have your own widget on your website.
Yeah.
Use Cloudflare, please.
Yes. So you can immediately see here that the amount of Zap. I think we added a feature where you can change the not just the amount of the supply, but Zap. So just keep that in mind. But the idea here is that we want to make it as easy or as granular as possible. We understand that some people may want to keep it, like for instance here, the price doesn't change. What if I just want everything to be egalitarian? I think that the person who came before me and the person who came after me inside this cycle really, will pretty egalitarian. But that's just depending on what your application is. I think that if you wanted everybody to have the same, not just like necessarily playing field, but like everyone have to share the same price, then it gives you this flexibility. Other projects that have used bonding curves like Aavegotchi, what are the other ones? Band. These are fixed curves, even like in some ways that you could think about a Uniswap being a pricing curve. You're really seeing that the supply and what you actually get is fixed. So if you're looking at Aavegotchi, you don't actually have, I would say that Aavegotchi would be like, that is their bonding curve for their website. But here we can be just the protocol on top of that. So you can actually have a variable amount, and we can see here what we're trying to do with the app is be able to start with a model, maybe a linear model, and then be able to change that. Let's see. So you can see on over here, we can be linear, we can be exponential. I think that really we can take these dots and move them along. You can make a very interesting pricing model. Maybe something you need to have like dips and programmatic peaks at different places. And I think that that's where we're trying to, so you have to, let's see. So you want to be able to store this information. We're really interested in developments like Filecoin in order to allow to take the custody not away from the user, but to allow if the IPFS node to go down, that decentralized file system that we can continue on repeating their data for them or with them. And then we can see that we want to confirm our pricing, and we can say, okay, we want to have this egalitarian or this pretty consistent constant. We can see that how everything is priced, what is the actual provider, and then we'll be able to be listed. So if we actually hit play, let's see.
And so while this is running, when we're listing this,
Yes.
Like if we have a WebSocket real time, data is just coming at you. I mean, like I saw JSON. I mean, this is not just a file, right? This is just continuous data that's coming down and that we're providing, and that's kind of in real time. People can connect to that.
Yeah, we have temporal contracts where we allow we open up WebSockets, and yeah, you can just have streaming data. Also, you can have video.
And I think that's where the cost comes from.
One dot per Ethereum block, and it'll keep keep it open for you. So you can
pretty much do
anything. Someone's building a telephone. I'm calling it a telephone, but
well,
something like a telephone where the person, if you want to call me, you got to buy my dot and then stick it in, and then you can talk to me for one of my tokens, because either they can be internal or they can also be RC20s. So
yes,
you have that choice. So if someone wants to talk to you on the phone, they're gonna have to buy, and they want to talk to you for 10 minutes, they'd have to buy 60 dots, right? No, yeah. So no. I'm sorry. 30 dots or 30 ERC 20 tokens that were generated by the Zap protocol, and stick them in the phone, and then they can talk to you for that long. Or if you're using on the EOS platform or all the other platforms we're working on, I mean, EOS is finished, so I mean our connection to EOS is up and running. So if you want to make it cheaper transaction fees, you can do it like that. We have many fixes for the transaction fee, but so we have anyway.
It's essentially the rate metering of anything.
Of anything, yeah. I want to be able to take that, and we were, Adam and I are like always inside the lab trying to think what is a really cool thing to add, and we want to add services like Zapier. We want to be able to actually have like a tweet paid for, and have that automated through that. I'm going to pull up a live demo of the Curve production as well.
Yeah, what is this? Isn't a live demo?
No, this was a video that I had prepared. Let me here, can you let me open up a different window here.
Yeah, when you're ready, just let me know.
Sure. Let me pull this up.
While he does that, Nick, I want to know what was the most influential thing you learned from Ron Paul with your time with him? Most impactful thing that impacted you?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Ron and with Dr. Paul, and the TV has him as one thing, but he's something. He's more like John Wayne or Clint Eastwood than what the TV would have you think. They try to make him kooky or whatever. Absolutely not. I mean, he's a doctor. He delivered 5,000 babies. He went to Congress because we came off the gold standard, and he's never taken any lobby money, and he's always stuck to his guns. And they called him Dr. No because he usually voted no on everything. And they can't control the guy. And the only thing guiding him are his principles, not money. So, it's all true. And I got to get into his workout regimen because he works out twice a day. He did like 5 miles on the treadmill and 15 miles on the bicycle, 10 miles on the bicycle. At the end of the day, he did 2 workouts a day. And I'm not sure how old he is now, but he's young.
Mid-80s?
Something like that. But he's young. I mean, he's
Isn't that what they say? That doctors die old and quietly, and the rest of us die young and loud.
I went to the doctors at the gym, but they never told you to go to the gym.
Right.
So just to come back to the graph, I want to be able to like, expound on that and show that, okay, so I mentioned that we have like a constant. So, okay, I want to buy and sell and it'd be constant. I want it to linearly change over time and literally give the ability to have like an exponential rise in the value of my data. But what we're trying to do here is make it really easy to create variable instances to maybe if you wanted to have a small dip that would be on purpose to say, okay, maybe the cost of your data really needs to rise quickly in order to meet like early shareholder engagements, and then we can make it cheaper again in order to drum up a lot of maybe the community, and then have it go parabolic. That's what the tools that I'm trying to create here are doing. And I wanted to make it as easy as possible because really at the end of the day, I think that a normal user doesn't have like a degree in math where I can express like a piecewise linear function and then be able to be precise about it enough to the point where I'm profitable. That's just not what a normal person should do. I really took a lot of thought from Photoshop actually about how these, how we abstract, because Photoshop's like this great visual tool and it does all these really complicated things and we don't know any of the mathematics underneath of it. We don't need to. And I think that if you really did have like a precise y equals mx plus b type equation in your mind from like an economic model that you've been producing with your colleagues, versus someone who's like, crypto go up, I want, or nothing, or if
you can put like Scholl's exponential growth and decay on there.
Yeah. So you can see that I do have like an actual ability to show what that function is and how that really what this is, and then what this numbers are how it's stored onto the chain. So this is very important for pushing the state of the art as we know it, because we have the ability to have that type of granularity to be produced. And I think that this is
it generates the formula that that your pricing is based on. So
it's really dangerous.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah. So you can actually see this is not in the standard form. Usually your exponents are what's first in cardinality, but I just wanted to keep it like in this format so you can see one-to-one how we actually store it onto the chain. And if you read the white paper, you can see that the first is just saying how many terms they're going to be, from like constant to x to the 1, x to the 2. And then these kind of change as you add more curves and the complexity grows, but the ease of use does not. So this actually is 1.24 times 10 to the negative 8 x cubed. That doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but they get it when they see the shape. It's just like airplanes, like we just want it to have the lift, we want it to be able to see where the liftoff is and how to create it and make it easier for everybody to do. So I'm not speaking in mathematics right now or any type of like
Bernoulli.
Yeah. Or any type of like, distribution, we're not talking about Gauss. I'm not talking about Bayes. I'm not talking about really anything. I'm just trying to.
You can even do it the other way around. You can say, it's worth more earlier. If it's data, and the more people who actually get the data, it's worth less.
Douche. So now we can say it's worth a lot. And then let's try to make it, bend downward really quickly.
Exponential decay.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about even another input of this, which would be kind of a cost input of other data feeds that potentially you're building on a piece of software. So it's as you're building those pricing models in, you're saying, okay, this is my cost factor, or even like not software, it's like manufacturing something like a fiberglass, right? Like what's the price of oil? What's the price of everything else that I'm building into this? And how can I adjust based on these other data inputs?
And against, not just against another data input, but in conjunction.
Right.
Because I think that that's where my mind goes, is that a lot of what we've been trying to do has been to update the tool set to allow the technology that we have to be used. But we're talking about pushing the state of the art and to say, what kind of applications can we write on top of that? Because now that we can have like a deterministic price of these assets over, we can actually have it deterministic across assets. Just like Uniswap. Uniswap has like a router. It goes from one point to the other. Where can we connect these ideas? You know, this is what I think at the end of the day make people really excited, because
I like when it goes up though. Can you point it up?
I like it when it goes up too.
Yeah.
Or we can make it say be like sad face, a happy face. We'll start here.
Yeah, that's better.
Very cool.
Well,
no, you can see you put in a lot of work on this, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna open up a lot of doors, and I think it's gonna
kick open the doors.
It's gonna, yeah, sure. I think it's already opened a lot of doors, and I think people are gonna get more acclimated to, calculus without even knowing about it. So,
and that's the point,
man.
It's just like, I think we try to take in and we try to sample a lot of intelligence from other software, because at the end of the day, this is software. It's not anything. It's open source. Everyone can use it. Doesn't matter what your politics are or who you are. It's not actually up to me, and I think that's the most important aspect.
What's the timing on this? When does this get out there?
We're shooting for the first quarter. I think that we're getting to the point now where I can actually demo it comfortably. There's a lot of little bugs that we're going to have, but I think that the first quarter, and that's I think your social metrics are seeing that. It's that we have like a really tight feedback loop between us and I'll go on Telegram and just like not make it a big deal to like ask me anything, like just ask me right now. I'm here. And I don't think that you get that in crypto. There's always seems like there's this onion layer between you and the people who are making it, or maybe because no one is making it, or no one is spending the time.
Well, they're trying to hire us to write it for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because this is, it is tough. Really, I'm a programmer. Really, I'm just the person who's just banging my head against the wall until it works. And I think that a lot of these problems that you mentioned before, like scaling, just being able to like postulate what these ideas are, is difficult. So when you're early on, you look at the metrics coming off of something like a GitHub to see if you want to actually invest in it, and I think that people see that from a mile away. People actually can they see us talking about it. We actually have like a tight feedback with like what features that people want. Like for instance, I didn't have a calendar to go to a specific date on it, and I listened to somebody, and then I immediately put it in my developer chat. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, that definitely should be there." I was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." It took us like less than a day, maybe it's something very simple, but that means that people heard.
Yes.
They felt heard, and that I am, I feel very, blessed and privileged to be able to serve an open source community, because that really does change the software model. It really changes like the tools that you want to actually create, and it actually builds us all up. And I think that I feel very, I feel great about being able to deliver that.
The most important thing what you just said is you were listening. They were saying it, but a lot of times if you're not listening, You're not getting that feedback, and then it doesn't get built. It doesn't get thought through. I mean, it's funny, even on our end. I run product, but I'm doing marketing all day.
Yes.
And Joe's our CEO, but he's running DMs and support. I mean, if you DM us on Twitter, you're probably talking to Joe. It's like, but if we don't, we're not evolving properly. We're just like, they're speaking out there to no one, and then you lose. So it's like, you know, it's so important to have this kind of dual community role, no matter what your role is in the company. And
I would say true. Like I'll be on calls for literally everything from not just software development, but from, you know, I'll get pulled into a marketing meeting. I'll be like, you know, no, that actually doesn't look good. Do it like this, or like, you know, or when I develop a feature, how will it actually checking your Android?
No, I had COVID. You know, I had COVID.
Oh,
COVID has a lot to do with the bonding curves, oxygen bonds to your hemoglobin, and it goes through your circulatory system, and you know, it dumps out as it goes through your circulatory system throughout your organs and your body. And what happens is your endothelium, the sheathing of the inside of your veins, are like ports. So if your body needs oxygen in this place, the ports open up and let it out in the capillary beds. So what happened with COVID is your endothelium is sick, and it just lets it pour out everywhere. It's like all your ports are open, and you know, you get hacked of your oxygen, and never gets to your liver or your kidneys. So I knew about all this stuff, whatever, and I had a hyperbaric chamber that I had in store. I pulled it out, and I set it up in January, because I was looking at this stuff early. And so whatever, I got sick a few months ago, and I said, let me just go to the hospital, you know. I had double pneumonia, and I'm sitting there dying. My oxygen's going down, 89, 88, 86. It was at 84. They put the cannula in my nose. And then they couldn't. I said, doctor, what are you going to do? Where's my Trump cocktail or something? What the hell are you doing over here? He goes, oh, we're going to observe you. And then my oxygen went up to 91 with the oxygen. And then it started going down again. I said, why don't you observe me, get the fuck out of here? I'm getting out of here. So I held the wall, and I got out of there. And I got security guards around me, and I'm threatening them. I go, just leave me alone. I'm getting the hell out of here. So I got in the cab. I went to my house. I jumped in the hyperbaric chamber. And that's Henry's law of thermodynamics, right? When you have a gas or a liquid under pressure, 2 atmospheres, you double. If you have double the atmospheric pressure over a liquid, that solubility doubles also. So all of a sudden, my oxygen, instead of being low, I doubled it to 160%. And then I got out of there, and in 3 days of using the hyperbaric chamber, I was healed.
Wow.
So, fuck them. That's
Speaking of COVID as a segue, and I know we're coming up on the hour here, an insane year with economics, and the amount of money that's kind of come onto the market. And Nick, you were saying, as a libertarian, someone with Ron Paul, money supply highest it's ever been, right? We're coming out of a time where, even in 2008, velocity of money in circulation, it didn't go down like it did, in March and April and May, right? The economy, GDP was down 33%, right? And now we're starting to come out of that, once everyone starts to maybe start moving a little bit. If GDP gets back to 1% to 2%, where it's going to land, because that's where it's always been, the amount of money is the highest it's ever been that's available. And now it starts to circulate faster. I mean, we're talking about a situation that we've never been in before here in the United States. I mean, do we see some sort of inflationary world that, we've never seen before? I mean, where do we go from here with crypto? And what do you guys think, both of you guys, as the last thing, where do you think we end here in the next year or two with the way that kind of sets up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, if they print more money and they say, oh, the GDP's up. No, you just poured out a bunch of fake money, additional fake money to drunken sailors, and they're buying more booze, but they're going to pass out soon. And then what happens? So the whole thing is discombobulated, all their metrics are all screwed up. It's all just to fluff us up and have nowhere to go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, people are like, the price of Bitcoin.
but it was a bonding
Right.
curve in there.
They were like, price of Bitcoin's rising. I was like, well, I think the American dollar is falling.
Yeah.
I was like,
Do
it's a different mindset, you know.
Do you think they
Everyone
ever?
values Bitcoin?
Do you think they ever get out of printing money? Do you think this actually stops at some point? Is that even possible?
I don't.
Well, they're going to create their own crypto, and they're just going to create more and more and more and more and more. You know, it's not going to have a fixed amount. You know, it's not going to be permissionless. It's not going to be anything. I think if after the governments make their own crypto, it's going to help us because it's going to onboard more people into Bitcoin much easier than having to put a wire through a bank or something. You know, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest issue. Is that I think that, like, you know, when you look at other countries, they are more apt to like use their telephone to pay for something. They'll just go up and then hit it. I think that it's a minority here in the States for that type of move. I think that people, in terms of like electronic money, only deal with like a debit card or stick to cash, you know. But other countries, they have that like mindset. So the faster that our country and others, like, you know, adopt an electronic form, it'll onboard them in a way that they'll be already used to it, and they'll be like, oh, I'll just use that, or
Yeah,
I'll make my own token.
I'll make my own.
My own bonding curve.
That's right.
Cool. Well, guys, I really appreciate both of you coming on here. You know, we got a big day in America. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the future and what we can all build together. And this was really awesome. And everyone that's watching, I really appreciate you being out there. This will be on YouTube, Twitch. It's already on Periscope, which is going to go away. So Twitter video for not too much longer. But we.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I appreciate both you guys coming on here and all the insights. And we're looking forward to, you know, for Zap, man. This is really awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. This is great.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.